The tunnels of Vero were older than any city on Earth. No one knew who had built them or why they stretched for miles under the rocky desert. The walls were carved with strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dark, as if they were alive. The human expedition team moved slowly, their boots echoing against the stone floor. Maru walked at the front. He was not the strongest of the group, nor the fastest, but he had something the others trusted: calm courage. While some of his team carried scanners and others carried heavy packs, Maru carried only a lantern in one hand and a small notebook in the other. He believed in looking with his own eyes before believing a machine. "Strange place," whispered Lena, the youngest of the group. Her light danced across the walls, catching on lines that looked like rivers drawn in silver. "Do you think this was a city?" Maru smiled softly. "Not a city. A memory. Whoever built this wanted their story to last." The group walked deeper, but soon the air changed. It grew colder, heavier, as if the tunnels themselves were watching. The glowing symbols grew brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. One of the men muttered that they should turn back, but Maru shook his head. Then, from the shadows ahead, a voice rang out. It was clear, strong, and filled with something both beautiful and frightening. "You should not be here." The team froze. A tall figure stepped into the light. Her skin shimmered like pale crystal, and her silver eyes reflected every lantern beam. She wore no armor, no weapon, yet her presence was heavier than stone. Maru lifted his lantern higher. "Who are you?" The figure tilted her head slightly. "I am Scylla. I am the last of those who walked these halls when your kind was still learning fire. You are trespassing on sacred ground." The team shifted nervously. They had expected old ruins, maybe broken machines, not a living being. Some raised their scanners, but Maru raised his hand for them to stop. "We did not come to harm," Maru said gently. "We came seeking knowledge. These halls are full of it, are they not?" Scylla's eyes narrowed. "Knowledge is not for all. Many before you came with the same words. They did not leave alive." A shiver ran through the team, but Maru stepped closer. "Then perhaps they lacked respect. We will show it, if you let us stay." Scylla's expression changed, becoming sharper, colder. She took one step forward, and the glow of the symbols grew brighter around her. She lifted her hand, and the air seemed to press down like a weight. "Touch me again, human, and I will drain your very life." Her voice echoed, not only in their ears but in their bones. The crew backed away, some gripping their tools tighter. No one dared move closer except Maru. He studied her carefully, not with fear but with curiosity. He noticed something small. Despite her threatening words, her hand trembled slightly. Her voice was strong, but her eyes carried something else: a shadow of loneliness. She was not only guarding these tunnels. She was guarding herself. Maru lowered his lantern and smiled. "You speak as if you are a storm. But I see more than that." He stepped closer, slow and steady, and gently placed his hand on her arm. The crew gasped. Scylla froze. She had expected the human to collapse, to fall as so many others once had under her touch. She expected his life to flood into her like rushing water. But nothing happened. Her silver eyes widened. For the first time in centuries, her power did not work. Instead of fear or pain, Maru's hand felt warm, steady, and alive. His presence did not bend or weaken, it pushed back, like a flame refusing to be extinguished. "You see," Maru said quietly. "Not all humans are afraid. Not all humans run." Scylla pulled her arm away, staring at him with shock. Her lips parted as if to speak, but no words came. She had lived through the fall of her people, through endless years of silence, through countless intruders who all ended the same way. Yet here was one human, smiling as though he had nothing to fear. And for the first time, she felt something she had not felt in so long: doubt. The tunnels around them pulsed again, as if responding to this strange meeting. The crew whispered among themselves, but no one dared break the silence. Scylla finally spoke, her voice quieter now. "You are different." Maru only nodded. "Perhaps. Or perhaps all humans are, if you give them a chance." The air grew still, heavy with the weight of something beginning. The encounter was not only between a human and an alien. It was between two lonely survivors of two very different worlds. And neither would ever forget this first meeting. The silence after Maru's bold action stretched long inside the tunnels. The crew stood frozen, unsure if they had just witnessed the beginning of peace or the beginning of disaster. Scylla's silver eyes stayed locked on Maru, her thoughts unreadable. "You dare," she whispered at last, her voice soft but sharp. "No one touches me. No one survives it. Yet you," she shook her head slowly, her glowing hair shifting like liquid light. "You are strange." Maru lowered his hand but did not step back. His calm presence seemed to fill the air where fear usually lived. "We are only explorers," he said. "We came with no weapons against you, no plans to steal. If you are the guardian of this place, then you know what happens when truth and lies meet." "I speak the truth." The crew behind him exchanged uneasy glances. Tayran, the oldest of them, muttered under his breath, "She threatened to drain life." "Why are you standing so close?" Maru turned his head slightly. "Because fear does not help us. Curiosity might." Scylla watched them with narrowed eyes. "You humans speak of peace, but your hearts beat like drums." "I hear them. Fear, doubt, confusion. They sound the same as all the others who came here." Her words carried weight. The walls seemed to pulse in rhythm with her voice, as though the tunnels themselves agreed. Lena, the youngest, stepped forward timidly. "If others came before us, what happened to them?" Scylla's gaze turned toward her, and Lena shivered under the alien stare. "They ignored my warning. They saw these halls as treasure, not memory. They thought themselves clever, strong, unstoppable. They all fell the same way. Their lives became the dust you now walk upon." The crew grew quiet. The glow on the wall seemed to flicker, showing shapes like shadows of long-lost travelers. Maru, however, held Scylla's gaze. "And yet you still warn us," he said. "If you wished us gone, you would have ended it already. You say you will drain my life if I touch you again. But I did, and nothing happened." The words struck something inside Scylla. She lifted her hands slowly, studying her own pale fingers as if they were unfamiliar. "You think my warning empty?" Maru shook his head. "I think it was true for others, but not for me. You said yourself I am strange." Her silver eyes flashed. "Strange does not mean safe. Strange can also mean dangerous." Maru gave a small smile. "Perhaps. But tell me, when was the last time someone stood before you without fear?" The question caught her off guard. She hesitated, her lips parting but no sound coming. After a long moment, her expression hardened again. "Your courage is not wisdom, human. Do not confuse them. You touch me again, and you may find your strength fails. I will not show mercy twice." The threat hung heavy in the air. The crew shifted, some pulling Maru's sleeve to urge him back. But Maru stood firm. He did not step closer this time, but he also did not retreat. "We will stay," Maru said simply. "Not to steal, but to learn. You said these halls are memory. Then teach us. If not, then end us now, and the choice will be yours." Scylla's eyes narrowed. She had faced countless trespassers, but none had spoken this way. His voice carried no arrogance, no fear, only steady resolve. "Why should I trust you?" she asked softly. Maru answered without hesitation. "Because we are still here. And because I touched your arm, and you did not destroy me. Maybe the tunnels themselves wanted this meeting. Maybe it was meant. The glowing symbols on the walls pulsed again, brighter this time, as if the stone agreed with him. For the first time, Scylla's expression softened. Just slightly. Her silver eyes flickered with something almost human curiosity. She turned her head toward the deeper tunnels, where the glow thickened like flowing rivers. "If you wish to learn," she said slowly, "then walk with me. But understand your courage will be tested. The tunnels remember everything. They will not hide the truth, even if you wish it." The crew exchanged worried looks. None wanted to go deeper, but none wanted to stay behind either. At last, Maru nodded. "Then lead the way." Scylla gave him a long look, as if measuring his worth. Then, with a movement as fluid as water, she turned and began walking down the tunnel. Her glowing form lit the path without need for lanterns. The crew followed, their footsteps echoing. The deeper they went, the more the walls pulsed with light, almost like veins carrying living energy. Strange whispers filled the air, voices from long ago. Lena leaned close to Maru and whispered, "Do you really trust her?" Maru kept his eyes on Scylla's glowing figure. "Not yet. But I trust the truth more than fear. And something tells me her story is not what it seems." As they walked, Scylla's voice carried back to them, calm but edged with warning. "Remember this, humans," I said, "touch me again, and I will drain your life. You may believe you are safe, but power does not vanish so easily. If you test me, the choice may not be mine to control." The crew shivered at her words. But Maru only smiled faintly, his calm unchanged. He had felt the warmth of her arm, not the emptiness she promised. Deep inside the tunnels, where memory and shadow lived together, the journey was only beginning. The tunnels grew deeper, and the air grew colder as Scylla led the humans forward. The glow on the walls was brighter now, moving like streams of living light. Every step echoed in the silence, and every echo felt heavier than the last. The crew followed close together. Lena clutched her lantern even though Scylla's presence already lit the way. Taran kept his hand near his pack, his old eyes scanning every shadow. None of them spoke loudly, as if afraid their voices might wake something that had been sleeping for ages. Maru walked just behind Scylla. He studied her carefully. She moved like water flowing downhill, her steps silent, her silver hair catching the glow of the walls. She never looked back at them, yet somehow, she seemed to know where each of them was. After a long stretch of silence, Maru asked gently, "How far do these tunnels go?" Scylla's voice echoed softly. "Farther than your maps can measure. They were built before your kind learned to shape stone. They are not only tunnels. They are veins of memory, carrying the stories of my people." "What happened to them?" Lena asked quietly. Scylla slowed, her steps faltering for the first time. She did not answer at once. When she finally spoke, her voice was lower, as if the walls themselves were listening. "They are gone. Not because of time, not because of weakness, but because the shadows came. My people fought, but the shadows could not be broken. In the end, only I remained." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Shadows. The word sounded simple, but the weight in her voice made it feel heavy. Maru tilted his head. "And the shadows, do they still live here?" Scylla turned her silver eyes toward him. "Perhaps. Or perhaps they wait beyond the stars. It matters little. They never truly die." The answer brought silence again. The crew walked on, their footsteps sounding small in the vastness of the halls. Soon they reached a wide chamber where the ceiling stretched high, disappearing into darkness. The walls glowed with shifting shapes, figures tall and graceful, holding strange objects, walking under a sky filled with stars. The pictures moved like water, replaying scenes of a world long gone. Lena gasped. "It's like history written in light." Scylla's face softened for a brief moment. Yes. These are the memories of my people, carved into stone so they would not fade. Every image is a voice from the past. Every light is a reminder. The crew spread out carefully, watching the glowing figures. They saw cities rising with towers that touched the sky, ships sailing through space like birds across the ocean, and great gatherings of beings with silver eyes like Scylla. Then the images changed. Dark shapes appeared, blotting out the stars. The glowing figures fought, but the shadows spread, swallowing the light. One by one, the shining towers fell. The final image showed a single silver-eyed figure standing alone under a broken sky. The chamber grew quiet, the moving light slowing to a dim glow. Scylla's voice broke the silence. That was the end. I was there when the last light went dark. The crew looked at her with a mix of awe and sorrow. She had lived through the fall of a world. She was not only a guardian, she was a survivor. Maru stepped closer to the glowing walls. He placed his hand near one of the shapes, but not on it, as if showing respect. Your people were strong, he said softly. But strength is not always enough. I understand. Scylla studied him carefully. You speak as if your kind has suffered the same. Maru nodded. Not the same, no. But humanity has faced storms, wars, and darkness of our own. We survive not because we are the strongest, but because we do not give up. Maybe that is why your power does not work on me. Humans are stubborn. For a moment, Scylla almost smiled. Almost. But her face quickly grew serious again. Stubbornness will not protect you from the shadows. Taran finally spoke, his voice rough. Then why lead us deeper? If danger waits, why not send us away? Scylla turned her silver eyes on him. Because danger always waits. If I turn you away, you will return with more numbers, more machines, more greed. Better that you see the truth now. Better that you understand what you face. Her words carried no anger, only cold certainty. The group rested in the chamber for a while. They drank water and wrote notes, though none could capture the living glow of the walls. Maru sat quietly, his gaze never leaving Scylla. At last, she spoke again. The deeper tunnels hold the beacon. It still sends out its call, though no one listens anymore. That is what drew you here, is it not? Maru nodded. Yes. We heard the signal at the edge of our space. Faint, broken, but clear enough to follow. It called to us. Scylla's voice grew softer. It was never meant for you. It was meant for those who would come to finish what the shadows began. And yet, you are here. The walls pulsed once, as if agreeing. The crew shifted uneasily, but Maru's expression remained steady. Then maybe we were meant to answer it? Maybe it was waiting for us all this time. Scylla looked at him for a long moment, her silver eyes unreadable. Then she turned and began walking again. Come. The signal grows stronger. Soon you will see the heart of these halls. The crew gathered their things and followed. The deeper they went, the louder the silence became, filled with whispers only Scylla seemed to understand. The glowing walls brightened, showing not only memory but movement, as if the tunnels themselves were alive. The journey was silent, but not empty. Something unseen walked with them. Something that waited in the dark ahead. The tunnels began to widen, and the glowing walls faded into shadows as the humans followed Scylla. The air grew colder, heavier, carrying the scent of stone and something older, almost like the smell of memory itself. The faint hum of the signal they had followed for so long grew stronger, vibrating through the floor and into their bones. At last, the path opened into a vast underground chamber. It was enormous, stretching farther than their eyes could see. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, carved from black stone, with a crystal glowing softly on top. The light pulsed in rhythm with the signal. Maru stepped forward, his lantern dim compared to the crystal's soft glow. "This must be it," he whispered. "The source of the call." Scylla's eyes narrowed. "Yes. This beacon has waited centuries. It was meant to warn the universe of what came here long ago. Few have ever reached it." The crew approached carefully. Lena reached out to touch the pedestal, but Scylla's hand stopped her. "Not yet. You must understand before you see. The story is dangerous, but necessary." Maru nodded. "We are ready." Scylla raised her arm slightly, and the light from the pedestal expanded, forming shapes in the air, holograms of a civilization long gone. They were silver-eyed, like Scylla, moving gracefully through a world of shining towers and flying ships. The humans watched in awe, their eyes wide. "This was their world," Scylla said softly. "Full of knowledge, full of life. My people built wonders beyond your imagining. But they were not prepared for what came." The images shifted. Dark shapes moved across the cities, spreading like smoke. The silver-eyed beings fought, wielding energy and strength beyond human understanding. Yet the shadows were relentless, and slowly, the towers fell. Ships crashed into oceans, and skies went dark. "The shadows," Terran whispered. His voice was rough. "They are real." "Yes," Scylla said. Her voice trembled slightly, though she tried to hide it. "They destroyed everything. My people fought with all they had. The strongest fell first. The cleverest tried to outthink them. But nothing worked. In the end, only I remained." Maru stepped closer to the pedestal. "And the signal? You mean it was meant to warn others?" Scylla nodded. "Yes. It was not meant for your kind, but perhaps the universe needed someone who could stand, someone who could survive where others failed. The signal has waited for centuries, calling to those strong enough to answer." The humans listened silently, feeling the weight of the centuries that separated them from the events shown before their eyes. Every falling tower, every shadow that moved through the city, seemed alive. The signal pulsed faster as they watched, as if urging them to understand. Lena looked up at Scylla. "Why are we different? Why did it call to us?" Scylla's silver eyes met Maru's. "Perhaps because you are human. You endure. You survive not only with strength but with hope. You adapt. Others fell because they relied only on what they could control. Humans, you learn even in fear." Maru's heart beat faster. He looked at the glowing images, imagining the lives lost. "We do not seek war," he said softly. "But we do not give up. That is our strength." The pedestal's light shifted again, showing the final moments of the civilization. A single silver-eyed figure, Scylla, stood alone, surrounded by ruins. Her people were gone, their voices silent, their towers broken. She had sent the signal, hoping someone would hear it, hoping someone could continue what they could not. Scylla stepped closer to the pedestal, her fingers brushing the crystal. "I cannot return what was lost," she said. "But you may prevent it from happening again. That is why I did not destroy you when you touched me. You carry what my people no longer could." Maru reached out, placing a hand near the crystal. The hum of the beacon ran through him, not painful but powerful. He felt knowledge flow into his mind, hints of technology, strategies, and histories beyond human understanding. He saw the fall of the civilization, the terror of the shadows, and the courage it took to resist even when defeat seemed certain. The crew watched, awestruck. Even Tehran's old face showed a mixture of fear and wonder. Scylla lowered her hands. "Now you know the truth. The shadows are not gone. They may rise again. But now, you understand what is at stake. You understand why the signal was sent, and why it waited for you." Maru took a deep breath. "We understand. And we will not fail. Humanity does not give up. We will do what your people could not." Scylla's eyes glimmered. For the first time in centuries, she felt hope. Perhaps the universe had answered her call, and perhaps these humans could continue the story that had ended in ruin. The chamber pulsed one last time, and the light of the pedestal shone like a small sun in the darkness. The humans felt the weight of responsibility settle on their shoulders, but it did not feel heavy. It felt possible. Scylla stepped back, her presence calming the group. The journey is not over. You have seen the warning, but now you must learn how to face what comes next. The signal brought you here, but your choices will carry you forward. Maru nodded firmly. Then we will follow. Not just for ourselves, but for the universe. The beacon's hum continued, steady and alive, as if agreeing. Deep inside the ruins, in the heart of a world broken by shadows, the first spark of hope began to glow. The chamber fell silent after Scylla's words. The humans felt the weight of centuries pressing down on them. The glow from the beacon dimmed slightly, as if letting them rest before the next challenge. Maru looked around at the team. We've seen the warning, he said softly. Now we need to know what we face. The shadows, they are still here, somewhere. Scylla's silver eyes flickered. They are not here yet. But they are not far. The tunnels themselves remember them. They move in places unseen, waiting for those who are unprepared. The humans followed her further, deeper into the ruins. The walls grew narrower, and the tunnels twisted unpredictably. Every corner seemed darker than the last, and the pulsing glow of memory faded to small threads of light. Lena whispered, I thought the beacon would be the end. But it feels like the beginning. Maru nodded. The story does not end with warning. It ends with action. Suddenly, a movement flickered in the corner of the tunnel. A shadow passed across the walls, darker than the surrounding stone. The crew froze. The shadow did not make a sound, yet it carried a presence, something alive and observing. Scylla stopped and held up her hand. They are here, she said. The shadows are near. You will feel fear, but do not let it control you. Stand steady, human. The shadow emerged slowly from the darkness. It was not fully solid, more like smoke shaped into a form. Its edges flickered and dissolved, yet it moved with purpose. Its presence chilled the air, making every breath heavy. Taran's voice trembled. I cannot see it clearly. How do we fight something like that? Maru stepped forward. We don't fight it the way others did. We fight it by using our minds, our courage, and our will to survive. Scylla nodded. They cannot predict you as they did my people. That is your advantage. Be unpredictable, and they will hesitate. The shadow moved closer. The humans felt the pull of its presence, a quiet pressure that tried to weaken their resolve. But Maru stood firm, his gaze steady. He remembered what Scylla had shown them, the fall of the silver-eyed people. Their reliance on power alone had made them vulnerable. Humanity's strength was different. It was flexibility, creativity, and endurance. Maru took a deep breath. Do not fear it. Observe it. Learn its movement. It cannot harm what it does not understand. The shadow paused, as if sensing the human before it. Its flickering edges twisted faster, reacting to his calm, steady presence. Maru moved slowly, stepping closer, showing no fear. Scylla's voice was soft but firm. It knows you are different. That is why it hesitates. Do not waste this moment. The team watched as Maru extended a hand toward the shadow. It wavered, shifting in confusion. Slowly, he moved around it, observing its patterns, careful not to run, careful not to strike blindly. The shadow reacted to every movement, but could not predict what it did not understand. Lena whispered to Taran, it's like it's alive, but not fully. Taran nodded. It's dangerous, but it's not invincible. Look at Maru. The shadow finally surged forward, but Maru's calm stance and steady eyes caused it to falter. It twisted, recoiling slightly. The humans realized something important: this enemy, though powerful, was not all-knowing. It could be outsmarted, approached, and endured. Scylla stepped forward, her hands glowing faintly. She did not attack, but her presence strengthened the humans' resolve. Do not underestimate them. Respect them, but do not fear them. That is the difference between survival and defeat. Maru nodded. We understand. The shadow lingered for a moment longer, testing the humans. Then, as if deciding they were not prey, it slipped into the darkness of another tunnel. The team exhaled collectively, their hearts still racing but filled with determination. Maru looked at Scylla. We survived the first test. Now we know the enemy can hesitate. That means we have hope. Scylla's silver eyes glimmered with something that felt almost like approval. Yes. Humans endure where others fell. But this is only the beginning. The deeper tunnels hold more than shadows, they hold choices, dangers, and trials your kind has never faced. Are you ready? Maru turned to his team. We are ready. We do not run. We do not give up. We move forward. The glow from the beacon faintly pulsed behind them, as if acknowledging their courage. They moved deeper into the tunnels, the shadows watching, waiting, but unable to predict the determination of the humans. In the darkness ahead, danger waited, but so did hope. And for the first time, the humans realized that their greatest power was not in their tools, their weapons, or their strength, it was in their resolve. The tunnels grew narrower and darker as the team followed Scylla. The hum of the beacon faded behind them, leaving only the soft glow of the walls to guide their steps. Shadows lingered in the corners, flickering as if alive, testing the humans with every step. Maru led the team, his eyes scanning every movement. Remember what Scylla said, he whispered. We do not fight like others did. Observe, adapt, survive. The first shadow appeared suddenly, slipping from a crack in the stone. Its edges flickered like smoke, twisting into shapes that were hard to define. It lunged at Lena, who froze in fear. Maru reacted instinctively. He stepped between her and the shadow, raising his hand. The shadow hesitated, recoiling slightly as if surprised by his courage. Move slowly, Maru instructed the others. Do not panic. Watch its patterns. It reacts, but it cannot think like we do. The shadow surged again, faster this time. Taran threw a small energy flare from his pack, not to destroy it, but to distract it. The shadow flickered wildly, confused by the sudden light. Maru moved to the side, guiding Lena past it. Scylla observed silently, her silver eyes glowing. Good. You are using your strengths differently. My people relied only on their powers. You rely on your minds. That is why you survive. The humans continued, moving as a team. Every shadow that appeared tested them in new ways, slipping through cracks, moving faster than their eyes could follow, or appearing in shapes meant to confuse. But the humans adapted. They communicated without words, using gestures and glances to warn each other. They set small traps, used flares, and even their own shadows to mislead the enemy. Maru realized something important. The shadows were powerful, but they were predictable in their own way. They react to fear, he whispered to the team. If we show none, they hesitate. If we remain calm, we control the battle. The next shadow appeared larger, moving with more purpose. It twisted and surged toward Maru. He stood firm, extending his hand slowly, making himself appear calm and unafraid. The shadow paused, unsure of what to do. Scylla's voice echoed softly. Do not strike it blindly. Use what makes humans different: your unpredictability, your courage, your will to survive. Maru nodded and moved in a pattern no one could anticipate. The shadow lunged, then hesitated, and Maru stepped to the side, guiding it toward one of Tehran's energy flares. The shadow twisted violently, trying to escape, and the flare's light pushed it back into the wall, confusing it further. The crew began to understand. Shadows were dangerous, but they could be outsmarted. Every movement, every choice, mattered more than raw power. Humans were not the strongest species, but they were clever, adaptive, and resilient in ways the shadows could not anticipate. Lena whispered, "It's like they can't read us. They only react." "Yes," Maru said. "And we will use that." Hours seemed to pass as they moved deeper. Shadows continued to appear, testing them again and again. Each encounter was more challenging than the last, but the humans grew more confident. They learned to predict the shadows' movements, distract them, and guide them without direct confrontation. Scylla finally spoke. "You see now why I did not destroy you when you touched me. Humans endure where others fell. You adapt, and that is your strength. The shadows cannot destroy what they cannot control." Maru looked at the team. Their faces were tired, sweaty, but determined. "We are learning," he said. "We may not be strong like Scylla, but we have something else. We can survive where others could not. That is our power." A massive shadow appeared, larger than any they had faced. Its form was twisted, with edges that flickered like broken glass. It surged toward them. The team held together, moving as one. They distracted it, misled it, and guided it through the tunnel using everything they had learned. Finally, with a coordinated effort, the shadow retreated into the darkness, unable to find a way to harm them. The humans exhaled collectively, their hearts still racing but filled with pride. Scylla's eyes glimmered. "Yes. You are different. You are human. You face fear and danger not by overpowering it, but by outthinking it. That is why you will survive." Maru smiled, looking at the team. "We have not won, not completely. But we have answered. We will face the shadows not as victims, but as humans. And that makes all the difference." The tunnels ahead were still dark and dangerous, but the humans had learned their greatest lesson: courage, adaptability, and unity could turn even the darkest enemy into a challenge they could face and overcome. The humans emerged from the tunnels into a wide, open chamber, where the last glow of the beacon bathed the room in soft light. The shadows had retreated, and the silence felt alive, not threatening, but expectant. For the first time in hours, the crew felt a sense of calm. Maru stepped forward, looking at the crystal pedestal in the center. It pulsed gently, almost as if it recognized them. "We made it," he whispered. "We survived the shadows. And now we must make the next choice." Scylla floated near the pedestal, her silver eyes glowing softly. This beacon was built to warn the universe. It sent its signal for centuries, hoping someone would hear. And you did. But its story does not end here. It waits for those who will carry its promise forward. Lena looked at the crystal with wide eyes. "A promise? What kind of promise?" Scylla's voice was calm but powerful. "A promise that the mistakes of the past will not repeat. A promise that those who face darkness will not run. The signal asks for courage, wisdom, and perseverance. It asks for life to continue, even when shadows threaten to end it." Maru stepped closer to the pedestal, placing his hands gently on the crystal. He felt warmth, knowledge, and purpose flow into him. The images of Scylla's lost civilization returned briefly: shining cities, brave people, and then the dark shadows. But this time, he understood more. Humanity's resilience could continue where others failed. "We accept," Maru said firmly. "We will carry this promise. Not just for us, but for the universe." The pedestal glowed brighter, sending waves of light throughout the chamber. The shadows that lingered at the edges hesitated, then retreated further, as if acknowledging the human's vow. Scylla's silver eyes softened. "You are different from all who came before." My people relied on power alone. Humans rely on courage, adaptability, and hope. That is why the signal reached you. That is why you survived. Taran stepped forward, older and wiser, placing his hand next to Maru's on the pedestal. Then let the message go out, he said. Let the universe know that we are here, and we will not falter. The crystal reacted to their combined presence. Waves of light projected across the walls, forming a new signal. Unlike before, it was alive with energy, glowing with the promise of humanity. It carried strength, resilience, and hope. The tunnels pulsed with it, almost as if the ruins themselves celebrated the new beginning. Maru looked at the team. We did this together. This is not just our victory, it is ours as a species. We face what comes, we endure, and we move forward. Scylla floated silently, watching them. For the first time in centuries, she allowed herself to feel something that resembled hope. Perhaps your kind is what my people needed, she whispered. Perhaps the universe is not lost after all. Lena stepped closer to Maru. Do you think the shadows will come back? She asked. Maru nodded. They might. But we have learned something important: they cannot control us if we do not let them. Our strength is in how we respond, not in avoiding danger. Scylla turned toward the humans. Go now, and carry the message. Let the light of this beacon reach all corners of the stars. The universe must know that there is still life that will stand against darkness. The crew took one last look at the crystal pedestal. Its glow seemed softer now, resting peacefully, but the pulse of the signal still traveled far beyond the tunnels. They knew that somewhere, other explorers or civilizations might one day see it, feel its message, and understand what humanity had achieved. Maru stepped forward, holding his lantern high. Let's go, he said, his voice steady and filled with purpose. Our journey continues, but now we carry hope with us. The humans left the chamber, walking through the tunnels that had tested them so thoroughly. Shadows lurked at the edges, but none dared approach. The beacon's light guided them, and the strength they had gained in the tunnels carried them forward. Outside, the desert of Vera stretched endlessly under a dark sky. The stars shone brighter than ever, reflecting the light of the beacon. Maru looked up at them and felt a sense of connection to something greater, an invisible thread linking humanity to the universe. Scylla hovered beside him. Go, human, she said softly. Your kind has proven itself. Carry this promise wherever you go. Maru smiled. We will. And one day, perhaps, you will see the universe safe again. Not because of power, but because of hope, courage, and the will to endure. As the humans left the ruins behind, the beacon's light continued to shine, sending its message across the stars. Somewhere far away, another species might see it. Another human might hear it. And somewhere in the universe, hope was reborn. The tunnels of Vero were silent now, but they had witnessed the beginning of a new story, one of humans who faced the shadows, endured, and carried a promise that could change everything. Maru turned to his team. This is only the beginning, he said. But we are ready. Together, we will face whatever comes next. The stars above Vero twinkled, as if answering his words. The universe was listening, and humanity's journey had truly begun.